It's what you need to know. And completely unrelated to quarterbacks number 10 and number 9. Completely and totally unrelated. Patriots quarterback Tom Brady working out with Josh Gordon. Video posted recently on social media. And it got Patriots fans very excited. Does this mean Josh Gordon is going to be reinstated? What does this mean? What is the message? What is the import of this? I mean, here's the bottom line. Josh Gordon is still a member of the Patriots. He's under contract with the Patriots. The question is, when will the league let him play again? Jeff Howe of The Athletic reached out to the league for comment on whether or not there's a timeline for a decision on a possible reinstatement or reinstatement or reinstatement of Josh Gordon. But here's the one thing I've noticed in recent years, Chris. I feel like the NFL is going easier on guys who are caught in the gears of the substance abuse policy.
Right.
They don't like taking great players off the field, and they give them extra chances, whether it's Josh Gordon, Martavis Bryant, the Raiders receiver, or Randy Gregory, the Cowboys defensive end. I think all three of those guys had multiple potential violations of their treatment plan or the substance abuse policy, but they let them hang around and they took some time before booting them out. They're supposed to boot them out for one strike after they've been reinstated following a suspension of more than a year. So I feel like there's some lenience there, which makes me think maybe they're going to find a way to let Josh Gordon get back in before the start of the season.
Yeah, I don't know if it happens before the season, and I don't know if, of course New England would like him back to the start of the season, but, New England, too, they're not going to panic if he's not, able to play and still suspended maybe first 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I think the goal New England has in mind, as always, as you and I talk about, it's playoffs, and they want Josh Gordon to be ready for that time of the year, and they're going to, still have Brady and people keep in contact with him to make sure he's ready to contribute when that time does come. Gordon, he played a significant role for that team last year and really helped them out in some key moments and some moments where they were banged up at wide receiver. He was crucial there. So it seems to be a happy marriage there, and, yeah, it's just about when it happens. But I'm with you, Mike. It does seem like the NFL has been a little more humane towards this and realizing that these aren't necessarily just bad people, that this is a real struggle. And some people really do, have issues with the disease of addiction. And I'm glad to see that the NFL is being a little more lenient with some of this stuff.
And a lot of this behavior happens on your own time. I'd say all of it happens. I mean, I've yet to see a guy get suspended for actually smoking marijuana or doing some other non-PE drug at the team facility. Right?
Yeah,
so it's on your own time.
Yeah.
A lot of times during the off season, and they reach into the private lives of players and they police the private lives of players. And that may have been okay 30 years ago when the war on drugs was happening. But nowadays, with 34 states, I believe, allowing marijuana use for medical purposes and some number less than that for recreational purposes, the pendulum has swung. It's a different vibe. It's a different time. But the other side of this, too, the NFL doesn't want to come out and say we're being lenient because they have the power under the substance abuse policy and they don't want to give it up.
Right.
So it's a tough spot for them because if it looks like you're going soft, then there's no reason for the NFLPA to try to negotiate with the NFL, make a concession to get them to soften the policy. But I think the league realizes it's in their own best interest to let great players play and to not get hung up on things that have no relevance whatsoever to what a guy can do on a football field.
Yeah, with you, 100%, Mike. Yeah, and and hey, let's just make examples of anybody else working in the business world. There's plenty of people I know who work on Wall Street and they got addiction problems, okay? And they're still working there. Their bosses don't know, and they still do a great job. But this is something they have to battle, whether it's they're alcoholics or something or pill poppers, whatever it may be. So this goes on in normal life. And why should I always just go, why should a football player's life and career and future all be ruined, by something that I don't know necessarily impacts everything you do on the field or in your business?
And let me just make one last point, because there are certain lines of work where safety concerns mandate sobriety.
That's right.
If you're flying a plane, if you're driving a bus, if you're running a
crane, right.
But there's never been a suggestion that this is a safety issue in the NFL. No one has ever said, well, we can't have a guy out there on a football field who, is disoriented or high or whatever, because football is the ultimate meritocracy. If you can't play, you're not on the field.
That's right.
If they can tell you're not getting it done, they got somebody else they can put in the game. Hey, what's wrong with Johnson?
Right.
I don't know. Get him out of the game. They're not going to drug test him. They just know he stinks that day.
That's right.
And if you're good enough that you're still a great player, even if you've got THC in your system, then so be it. Again, it's the ultimate meritocracy.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.